All right, welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 19 minutes to 8 o'clock, and it's time to speak to Cabinet Secretary in charge of Labour and Labour Affairs and Social Protection, that is Simon Chelugui. Good morning, Waziri.
Good morning, Kidoku.
All right, and we want us to discuss and talk about the state of work in the country, bearing in mind that, yes, there's a time that 1.2 million jobs were feared that would be lost to the COVID-19. Is that still the case, bearing in mind the measures that have been relaxed last weekend?
Yeah, the picture at the moment is not looking good. As we speak, a number of redundancies have been announced by various sectors in the industry, and we continue to receive them through our toll-free contacts. And as we speak now, it looks like these numbers are increasing. Remember, we had projected that this will take about 3 months, and then we review. However, the situation is not changing. The government measures that have been put in place recently as a way to protect, or rather in considering our health challenges that we're facing, government and the president made a further announcement, including curfews. And this, again, caused more job losses in various sectors, particularly the tourism, aviation, and even agriculture. So as we speak now, we project to see more numbers, more than 1.2 million.
Do you have an estimate?
Yes, as the current numbers, you know, we are also collecting numbers from other institutions like ILO, which has equally been doing surveys. And what they are projected now as we speak, 1,779,374 jobs are likely to be lost
in Kenya.
However, the ones that we feel are those likely to require social protection are about 5.8%. Again, as a ministry, we have been working together with the industries and employers to come up with a list or a register of potential vulnerable employees for purposes of social protection. The Govt fund, which was launched recently, has been engaging our people. We have been meeting with them, and we are developing a list. So far, over 50,000 former employees or employees who are laid off are now in that bracket. And we are making final arrangements to see whether we can give them some stipend.
Right. When you talk about those 50,000 former employees, what sectors are they in?
Majority of them are in the informal sector. And you know, when your definition of informal sector is a bit relative, we have people who started businesses as families, or they are both employer and employee. And because of the measures taken by government, including cessation of movement, curfews, and restriction of certain activities, they have found themselves redundant, and therefore they are not able to support themselves. We are considering urban areas, particularly counties of Nairobi and Mombasa, and possibly Mandera. These are lockdown counties. You recently remember the president did open the counties of Kwale and Kilifi, following the control and management of the spread of COVID in those two counties. So we are beginning with that. And then there are people who are involved also in tourism-related activities, like those ladies in Masai Mara who are engaged in curio activities, serving the tourism sector, who by actions done by government, there are no more tourists coming to this country. And so these people have been rendered jobless. And this also are part of our bracket for consideration.
Right. And of course, I hear you clearly on what the fears are. But We are approaching, this is the budget week, and I don't know whether there are any allocations to cushion the workers more. If yes, what amounts are we talking about? Because as you say, 50,000 have already been identified. I would imagine that in the coming months, there will be more.
Yeah, Kituku, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection is basically a policy-making ministry as far as labor and labor-related issues are concerned. However, we are also involved in social protection. A number of workers would likely fall into this category. However, as per our current definition and categorization, funds that are likely to come to our ministry will mainly focus on our three traditional categories. So we may not have any funds that are specific to covering any job losers or any person who is laid off. However, through that volunteer contributions by various industries and government and even employees, including myself and even the president, we are contributing towards the COVID fund, which is likely to be applied on protecting and saving people who may lose jobs. But on our current Inua Jamii under Social Protection Department, we expect to increase the numbers of those who are under this category. Currently, we are serving 1,094,000 Kenyans. However, in the next financial year, we expect this number to increase to 1,270,629. And this will require a budgetary allocation of over 29,952. However, in the current financial budget policy statement, we have seen an allocation of 25,793, meaning we will be short of by 4,759 million. This, we believe, will be adjusted along the during the supplementary estimates, or rather supplementary budgets that will come after.
Okay.
So as a ministry, we require approximately 9.5 billion to be able to carry out universal social protection coverage. A number of policies are on the works on social protection, including social assistance fund, which means we are going to establish a body, a saga that will be handling these issues or handling these matters of social protection. The Ministry of Labor also, in terms of initiatives that we have taken to protect and cushion workers, include signing of memorandum of understanding between ourselves and social partners. You've also seen the President announce various tax measures, including turnover relief that is going to positively impact on informal sector. The announcement of resident corporate tax from reduction from 30% to 25%. We also have reduction in pay as you earn, complete waiver of all taxes on persons employed and earning less than 24%. You will remember that over 50% of Kenya.
CS, allow me to interject and ask you this question, because yes, you said that there has been a lot of notices coming to you, notifications of declaration of redundancies. When you look at the wages that are being received by the workers, how would you say the impact has been, the COVID-19? How has it affected those wages in terms of the reduction?
There's been no reduction of wages, especially for those who are still retaining workers. But those who are unable, for all intent and purpose, imagine like hotels and airlines, those working in ticketing and airline business, there are no flights, and these organizations or businesses or enterprises are not able to sustain or pay any salary. So what we have seen is people have been asked to stay home and wait. Some of them have are kind enough to consider 50% salary or 30% salary. So in effect, what we are receiving is either laid off, redundancies, or completely they have lost their jobs.
They lost their jobs. Oh, okay, all right. Let's talk about the identification of beneficiaries to this support that you are talking about, because I think earlier on we had heard of people being identified in especially the informal settlements, that they were going to receive their weekly stipends. But there are people that have been saying that they are yet to see that. How is this process of identifying these people being done to ensure that it is foolproof in as far as people that may want to harvest where they don't deserve?
One, we employed a multi-agency approach and focused more on the lockdown counties. The counties of Nairobi and Mombasa were given the highest priority. At that time, also Kwale and Kilifi, because majority of workers in Mombasa come from Kilifi and Kwale. So in Nairobi, focus has been on the informal sectors, or informal settlements of Nairobi, including Kibera, Korogocho, Mathare. And we are working with the Ministry of Interior, Ngao team, the chiefs and assistant chiefs, who are able to collaborate the informations that we have. And they are able to, the questionnaires were being distributed, and through the chiefs and assistant chiefs, we're able to filter this information and then zero in on the individual. So far, over 108,000 people have been identified.
These are individuals, not households?
Rather, households. Sorry.
Okay, so 108...
It amounts to, because households and individuals are heads of individuals and households, as defined the head of the household, or you could be, there are some households are even headed by children, some households are headed by women. So I think the word to use is household.
Okay, all right. So 108,000 households, and I know that initially you had indicated that the weekly stipend would be 1,000 shillings. I don't know for how long this has been running and how much money has so far been disbursed.
On average, we're spending about 300 million per week. And this is, I think, the 4th week running. So far, we have almost spent 1.2 billion. And you remember the amount that was allocated to us by the president was through the supplementary budget, and part of the measures that he announced was 10 billion.
10 billion.
So we are still counting, and basically you have seen, Kituku, that we've been able to contain the social unrest. We've not seen people coming out of the informal settlement areas. We have not seen agitation for food because of various measures government has put in place. Food is still coming from up country. Transport and logistics are going on smoothly. So the supply chain has not been affected by those measures. And this has contributed towards harmony in the country.
Okay, all right. So I remember the last time we spoke to you, sometimes last month, you had said that there were sustainability difficulties, bearing in mind that nobody knows how this is going to last. But with the government now starting to relax some of the containment measures of COVID-19, what are your estimations based on the data that you have that you're going to have less and less people needing assistance from from the government?
You know, people will always be needy as long as they have no gainful employment. So as soon as the economy opens up, we've seen elsewhere, other jurisdictions, you saw the president divided between two rights on Saturday, between opening economic consideration and health considerations. It is not easy to predict because this is a worldwide pandemic. So we are not able to predict. Yesterday I read and saw Israel closing schools and again reinforcing the measures that are relaxed. So we are also learning from various models, including the Spanish flu, that people open up too early and then it recurred and caused more deaths. So I'm not at this stage able to predict exactly when this will be relaxed, or when people will be able to stand on their own and start their normal life of business.
Okay.
Without normalizing the economy, we will still expect people to depend on government until this will put a lot of pressure on government, because the government depends also on a working and productive economy, productive workers to generate revenue, which again in return is being used to support and help the same populations who are now redundant.
Okay, allow me to ask you
yes, as I speak to you now, I don't have a date.
Okay, allow me to ask you this question as we wind up, and that is to do with the 2 billion shillings that was declared by President Kenyatta to go to supporting the hospitality industry. Have you found a formula of how this will be distributed? And also tell us whether this is to benefit the businesses or specifically to go to paying the workers that would have otherwise been rendered redundant.
Okay, you remember even the other relaxation by the Central Bank of Kenya, over 35 billion, when they reduced the CBR from 7.5% downwards, and locking over 35 billion. All this was taken up by the tourism sector, the businesses. And this 2 billion, it is too early to now, but to say how this will be distributed.
Okay.
A meeting is happening. We are having a meeting, a final meeting tomorrow, together with the ministry. We have a committee headed by the Minister of Finance that is discussing how these measures will be implemented. Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Trade and Industry, and Ministry of Labor. So as we speak now, we are going to find a formula of protecting and covering those in the tourism sector, because remember, tourism is our highest forex exchange earner. It is second to diaspora remittances. So we are putting our highest attention and priority on this sector. So as soon as we finalize tomorrow's engagements, we will be able now to announce through the Ministry of Tourism the measures and actions that we will take to distribute the 2 billion shillings.
All right, thank you so much, Waziri Simon Chelugui, for speaking to us on the update on the state of work in the country, as well as the social protection measures that are being taken to protect the workers, as well as those that are distressed in this time of COVID-19. That has been Simon Chelugui, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Labor and Social Protection. I want us now to wind up by taking a look at what's happening with the state of the coronavirus disease in the country. To just remind you as we wind up that the total infections so far are 2,862. That is as far as yesterday's, the announcements that came yesterday of 95 new infections. The total recoveries are now at 849. Those that have lost their lives to the pandemic are 85. The active cases, therefore, are 1,920. These are the people that are treating or nursing the disease from different locations. Some of them are in hospital, that is over 800. Then the total tests that have so far been conducted are 98,439. If you can take a look at something else that is to do with the concerns and challenges in these times as the pandemic continues. We have shortage of reagents. Yesterday we had the cabinet, the CAS, Rashid Aman, as well as the PS, Susan Mochache, talking about this shortage that is causing the declining testing capacity in the country. Yesterday the tests were reported to be just over 1,000. The health workers also at risk. Yesterday you recall that we had that 3 new infections reported in Nyeri. I believe it's in Nyeri Central. These are health workers that attended to some patients there, but questions still abound on how did they get into contact with these patients, bearing in mind that new protocols have been announced on how to treat patients coming to a hospital. Then there's low hospital capacity. These are the people, the facilities that would be in a position to take care of COVID-19 patients, and that is why there's supposed to be a meeting, I believe it should be tomorrow, between the national government and the counties to come up with measures of how to increase the bed capacity at a minimum of 300 beds in every county to take care of these patients. Then there's some MOH advisory. MOH is Ministry of Health, that from yesterday it was declared that according to the WHO advisory, the people, the Kenyans that are 60 years and above, should wear the N95 masks. These are masks that are of higher consideration, higher quality, that would be in a position to protect the people that are above 60 years and also people that have underlying conditions. And this is important because it allows them to be protected, bearing in mind that the immunity system may not be as strong to deal with the coronavirus disease. Then 3-ply masks for the general public. This is whether it's the disposable ones, the non-woven ones, or the ones that are made out of cloth materials. They have to be 3-ply to be in a position to contain the particulate matter. Did I just say that? Particulate matter. Those things coming from the air, they don't infect you or affect you. Then people have to continue observing the containment measures, and that is to do with social distancing, wash your hands, wear your mask, avoid overcrowded places, and also avoid social gatherings, and so many other things. My name is Sam Gituko. Thank you so much for watching the show since 6 o'clock. The lady by the name Zinzi Kibik will be back at 9 o'clock to bring you the latest in the world of news. But thank you so much for taking time to watch, including Dr. Masibo, who just wrote to us from the US, I believe in Indiana, saying that the executive is in the wrong for failing to appoint the 41 judges. That is breach of the law. So thank you so much for your time. See you again some other time.